both Derrida and Foucault talk about this a lot in their work, basically, that language, language evolves throughout history and the meaning of words change. So you're not going to be able to nail down one fundamental way that language is, because if you think that this is the way language works, then you can always find counter examples to that. And then maybe trends start to shift in a totally different direction from the way that maybe they were like 50 years ago. Who knows?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I do a lot of work editing, and one of the things I love is watching the way words come in and out of style. Like basic things like if I edit something from 15 years ago, the word email is hyphenated, and now that hyphen's dropped away. So there's that. But also so that's kind of the actual putting together of the words, but these meanings do change. We all experience this. Words come in and out of fashion, don't they? At the moment there's great debates about the word literally. That literally should mean absolutely, but it actually is starting to mean its opposite, as it were.
Yeah,
which
especially if you're like a teenage girl.
Absolutely,
I'm literally dying right now. My friend wouldn't hang out with me, and they went to the party without me.
Yeah, that's
I'm
right.
Literally dying.
Yeah, which irritates the hell out of me, but also part of me goes, well, hang on. There's a few other. They're called Janus words. They're words where they have two opposite meanings. And I think in a couple of 100 years' time, people will be saying, "Oh, isn't literally a great Janus word? It means absolutely and also means not absolutely." It's a. But I have this pet irritation that a lot of people in England hate Americanisms. They say Americans with their they call it fall and they rather than autumn, and they shorten words and they use and well, there's a few things. One, it turns out most Americanisms are actually older English words that just haven't evolved, so they're actually closer to Shakespearean English, for instance, than English. But the people who argue it seem to be arguing that English should be the dominant language. And they say, America now, because America is this great empire, it gets to choose. It's too dominant. The reason English is the one that they like is because England had this great empire and imposed all this language on people years ago.
Exactly.
Words change by popularity, and at the moment, America is the biggest country and the biggest communicator, so words tend to go with them, and that will change a lot of times too. So, I mean, I just find language, the dynamic of language, absolutely fascinating and interesting. And we don't speak Shakespearean English anymore because it would be ridiculous. And in 200 years' time, what we're saying will probably appear incredibly verbose to the next generation. Will parts of consciousness be lost by doing that? I guess they will. Will other parts open up? I guess they will, because that tends to have been what's happened throughout history, isn't it?
That makes me think too about, like, for example, like the one form of language that's evolved since the creation of the internet, and especially social media, is like text speak or social media speech, where you use all these acronyms that I try to avoid at all costs, and they annoy me. But occasionally I use them myself, like TBH, to be honest.
Right. Yeah.
Or like I try to avoid those things. But the other day I said that, and I try to avoid saying things like lol and stuff like that. And like I have this same sort of mindset as the one that you were describing, like that maybe that like the English have against Americans, that this fucking text speak is so stupid and juvenile, like it's not real language, why do people talk that way? But it can be a good thing in some ways, and like there's not really necessarily a good reason for me to be all like purist about the way that I text people. Like maybe if I'm writing a blog or something like that makes a lot more sense to talk that way. And I'm just worried about, like what you were saying earlier, like corrupting my ability to have good language by doing that in any form of communication.